USC is headed to the Elite Eight. I'm Keely Eure here with Eli Kleinmann, the voice of USC women's basketball. For rapid reaction, Eli, I don't know if you've been able to process the last 5 minutes of that game, but I got to ask you, do you know what happened at the end?
I would say a whirlwind. It's still a little hard to process when you think back on it, but I think ultimately USC's calling card is what they relied upon late in that game, the defense, and the defense got stops down the stretch, and that was enough for the Trojans once again in a low-scoring game, but a game that their defense really helped them win today.
Yeah, that was key coming into this game, given the fact that Kansas State liked to shoot the ball, especially from the three-point line. What did you see in that regard, how they were able to limit the Wildcats?
I thought they were excellent closing out on shooters today. Lindsey Gottlieb said there, and you could see it, there was that one stretch end of the first quarter, early second quarter, where they hit 2 to 3 straight three-pointers. And outside of that, USC did a really good job of limiting a team that is the second best three-point shooting team in the country by percentage. They shoot just under 39%. USC held them below their average. And if you combine that with how they were able to limit Aoka Lee inside, that's how the defense won this game.
Well, I thought it was interesting. Coach Gottlieb made sure to mention in her interview with you that this is a really good Kansas State team. And I feel like from the national perspective, even without Juju, people were expecting USC to roll in here and win. What did you expect from this matchup, and did it live up to your expectations?
I thought it was going to be a really good game. This Kansas State team is really a tale of two different seasons. It's the season with Aoka Lee. They are 20-1 this year, now 20-2 when she played, and they are 7-6 when she didn't. The reason they're a 5 seed is because she missed 13 games and they lost 6 of them. Otherwise, they might have been as high as a 3 seed, maybe even a 2 seed, with the way they were able to play. Their team that I believe beat TCU, a team also in the Elite Eight earlier this season. They're a team that gave Duke a really good game earlier this season in Las Vegas. So it's a team with a lot of talent and a lot of seniors. Aoka Lee is in her senior season. Serena Sundell, who's the best passer in the country, is in her senior season. Glenn as well, along with Poindexter. So it's a team with a lot of veteran experience, a really good shooting team, and a team that just knows what to do and what they are really good at. And so I think it was always going to be a challenge. But the way USC slowed down a really efficient team tonight was a really impressive, and just another check of a box of, can USC again play its best defensive games when it matters? And the answer once again was yes.
Well, if you didn't already know that the future is bright for USC women's basketball, you learned it again tonight. 45 of USC's 67 points came from their starting 3 freshmen. I mean, what do you make of their performance collectively?
It was incredible to watch. In some ways, what we have always known about those 3 freshmen, but in some ways, a slight transformation. I mean, Kennedy Smith had to shoulder a lot more of the scoring load today, which is hard for her because she exerts herself so much defensively. She puts so much effort in on the defensive end, and she was guarding Kansas State's point guard most of the night. And then she scored 19 points and matched her career high. And we see her attack the basket in ways we have seen at times. We've seen the flashes, but we haven't seen consistently, because she knows her role to about as well as anybody does. And tonight her role was to score the basketball more, and she did. She had 11 first quarter points out of USC's 16 points, and she outscored Kansas State in the first quarter alone. Along with that defense, she was huge. Avery Howell, once again, one of the best shooters in this conference and maybe even the country, just with the way she can shoot the ball. Yeah. And you saw her leadership on display once again today as a freshman. Lindsey Gottlieb's praised her all year for the way she can communicate, and just, she says it feels like talking seems like an easy skill, but it can be really hard, especially for, I mean, I know, certainly. But, and then Keely Heckle, once again, was fantastic. The points don't pop off the page, but she played 24 minutes running the point guard position, and she did not turn over the ball once. And just to give extra possessions, it just cannot, for a team that didn't shoot the ball particularly well today, can't be overstated.
Well, it's unreal, too, when you think about it. This is their first Sweet 16 appearance for all 3 of them, and they played like it was just another game for them. I mean, what do you make of the mindset, the mental makeup of those freshmen?
I think, obviously, they've never played in a Sweet 16, but they have consistently risen in the biggest moments of the season over and over and over again. And I think we just saw that again tonight on a slightly bigger stage. But you think back to Avery Howell hitting a couple big threes against UCLA at Pauley Pavilion down the stretch, and against UCLA at home at Galen Center. Kennedy Smith had big defensive stops over and over again. And Keely Heckle's just ability to stay calm running the offense. And tonight she hit 2 big free throws. It feels like they've had similar moments, maybe not on this big of a stage with the stakes being as high, but that has prepared them well, and they executed and delivered tonight.
Well, it was easy to see early in the game that part of Kansas State's game plan was to take Keely Erie out of the game. How did you think she handled with as much pressure as she got?
Felt like she was trying to give the ball, and sometimes the shots aren't falling. Felt like for both her and this USC team tonight, she got some good looks, didn't hit them. Some looks that were a little tougher. They put Eure Lee on her. That is a tough matchup for her, and then threw a second defender at her. But I think just her leadership and her poise was really big today, and trying to get the ball in and out of her hands was key for the USC to win this game.
Well, the name of the game is Survive in Advance, and that's what the Trojans are doing. They're heading to the Elite Eight for the second consecutive time since the Cheryl Miller days, so pretty good days for USC if you do ask me. What are you expecting from this Yukon matchup? Obviously, if Juju Watkins was still here, the headline would be the rematch between Juju Watkins and Paige Beckers. But what are you expecting with this Juju-less team tonight?
It's such an interesting thought about facing Yukon, because they've faced off, this will be the 3rd time in the last 2 seasons, and each iteration has been so incredibly different. USC's roster, despite having Juju, looked a lot different last year than it did when they faced off in December. AZ Fudd hasn't played any considerable amount of minutes in either game. She was out last year. She played 3 or 4 minutes to start the second quarter against USC in December, and really didn't have a huge impact. And Juju Watkins has been USC's best player each of the 2 times they faced off. So now you're without her. They add AZ Fudd. But it should be a good matchup, and I think USC will once again look to rely on its defense. Yukon is a really good and a hot basketball team right now. Paige Becker scored 40 points tonight, and just the way she is scoring the basketball feels like exactly what Gino Auriemma has been asking for her this season. But USC's up for the challenge. We've seen their defense contain elite players over and over again, and they're going to ask this defensive unit to do that once again.
On the whole, what do you make of this coaching staff, USC, I should say, their ability to get their team focused and ready for the Sweet 16 matchup without Juju Watkins, and then ultimately get them to the Elite Eight?
The ability to adjust and to get their team ready for a Kansas State team after everything that happened on Monday is really impressive, because it's weighing on everyone's mind. I mean, just, you can sense it when they talk about it in the press conferences. And it's no surprise. I mean, she's one of your best players, but she's also one of your teammates, one of your friends. And to see that happen to someone, I mean, it shook me when I was there. I don't want to speak for you and say,
well, you can. It did shake me too.
It shook us watching it in person. We are not on that bench in practice every day. And so that's such a hard thing to do, and to be able to refocus. But they also know the goal, and they know that you're in March, and it takes one game to end your season. And tonight, like we've seen several times, it just felt like USC did not want to lose tonight, and they found a way to get the job done to win.
Great wrap up there, Eli. I almost don't want to ask you final thoughts, but any final thoughts before we wrap this one up?
I think we're seeing the stars, the freshmen, turn into stars as we go forward. We already said this, but I think Jordan Moore actually tweeted this, and I think it was really put well, that they knew how to play their role in the season. Now their role has expanded, as has everyone, but they are showing why this was the #1 ranked recruiting class in the country. And those 3 freshmen tonight, the 3 McDonald's All-Americans on this team, really just their ability to perform in the big moments. They don't shy away from it, and it's fun to watch them turn into stars and really get the attention that they deserve.
Alrighty, it's going to be a classic matchup on Monday. USC versus Yukon in the Elite Eight once again. This is going to wrap it up for Eli. I'm Keely. We'll see y'all on Monday.